have homes on separate coals, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the parents' lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the parents' lounge is the cure to staying sane. Hey!
Hello,
welcome everybody to another episode of the Parents Lounge. I'm Jamie Kaler, joined as always by my pal Jason Gowan.
Hello.
We cover both coasts, my friend. I'm west, you're east.
That is correct.
We're just swarming the whole country. It's pretty great.
Yep. It's we're coast to coast now, and I think we cover the spectrum of parenting amazingness.
We do, and we have a fantastic show for you tonight.
I've heard that. I heard it on Instagram.
I heard it on Instagram as well. I feel like our guest is here. We normally try to do a little patter at the top of like, hey, how was your week? How was your week? But I feel like he's here. It's a big deal. It's an old friend. And so maybe we should do our patter with our buddy. What do you think? Look,
here's the thing I know about us. We need the guidance. We need the supervision. I feel like he's the guy that could do it.
Definitely. I mean, normally I would say we need a mom. We a lot of times when we'll talk about this with him, we usually have a mom come in as the voice of reason. But I feel like he kind of has that voice of reason that people look to and they trust. He says it in a comedic tone, but I think we've all learned a lesson or two from this man.
I have already.
All right, here we go. Let's do this thing. I'm so excited tonight, man. It's been a long time, and we go a ways back. We have some crazy road stories to tell that I got to be a part of. So he's a screaming legend. You might know him from Last Man Standing, little parts. You might know him from a little thing called the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, and I don't know, 15 albums and comedy specials and everything else that's ever been associated with any type of product. Also, a little show called the Bill Engvall Show. Might be a hint of who we're talking about. Yeah, when you have a show with your own name in the title, you kind of made it. You kind of did pretty well for yourself. Oh, and also, I think a lot of people are going to know him from a little show called Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, that is correct.
But he's also an ordained minister, and we're going to get into the bottom of that as well. Please welcome our guest tonight, Mr. Bill Engvall. How are you, brother?
Jamie, how are you, my friend?
So good, man. Warms my heart.
You know what? Jason, I'm going to tell you something.
Okay.
In this business, there's very few people that you find that are true friends. Everybody's got an agenda. They're all your buddies as long as you're hot. Or Jamie Kaler is one of those guys that I've just adored from the minute I met him. I think he's one of the funniest guys I've ever seen. I wish I had his off-the-cuff ability. And not only all that, he's just a good guy. And that's like the greatest compliment you can give somebody. They're just a good guy. And I'm sorry that you're the jackass, but, Jamie is just so nice.
Dude, you guess who's the new series regular on our show? That's it. It's now the three of us.
And I got to tell you something. I had heard about Jason, and I'm looking forward to being interviewed by him. There's a little pressure on him. I'll be honest with you. There's a little pressure.
A little bit. A little bit. I wet myself just a tad before you came in that day.
Well, Bill, that's how that's how I ended up being part of this show, is that I was a guest on Jason's podcast as well.
The week after you.
So well, we were like, we should just do a show, and that's how we're all here tonight.
Yeah.
Well,
so
Jamie had told me about this. I guess now it's been a couple of years ago, and I just think it's a great idea, the whole dad apocalypse, because while dads can kind of be the idiots, I also think there's a part of us that's a forgotten memory that, the dads are you got to have them. I mean, there's only, and I mean this with no disrespect to women at all, but every kid has to have a dad in their lives. There's that, whether it's good or bad, you got to have that dad figure that says, no, we're not doing that. Now, unfortunately, some dads are like, yeah, we can go ahead and do that. And there's cops involved, but it's not, but I just, like in my relationship with my wife, Gail, who Jamie knows very well, we are literally the opposite of every couple in America. Gail handles all the business. I swear to God, if Gail ever divorced me, I'd be so screwed. Because they'd say, I'd go to the bank, they go, what's your password? I go, I don't know. She never told me. And so, but I think, but the dad provides that level of kind of security. Not that there's not women that don't do that, but overall, the dad is just that kind of he's the supporting beam.
Yeah.
And, while it's hard to achieve that, when you do, as you and your wife have done, it's just such a wonderful mixture.
Well, it's funny, Bill, because, when we toured, I opened for Bill, for people who don't know, for quite a while.
And by the way, when you opened for me, you didn't have that much gel in your hair.
No. I had an audition today as a bully, so I gelled it up.
Tell me of the old Jamie, because I deal with this guy every single week now.
Hold on.
Jamie was a humble opening act.
Doesn't sound like him.
Well, then he got this little TV show, and oh my God, Jason, I can't count the number of times that people came up to me at the Improv or the Comedy Store. They said, "What happened to Jamie?" I go, "It's TV. It's just TV, man."
Yeah, it's exactly how it went down. That's exactly how it went down.
You know what, Jamie? I'm going to tell you a funny story. I'm sure you guys may have covered this. But Jamie really got screwed. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but you were up to be the chaos guy.
I was.
And you remember that series of commercials? I can't believe you remember that,
Bill. Yeah.
Yeah, where it was like, was it chaos? It wasn't chaos. It was.
It's the All-State chaos guy. Yeah.
All-Star chaos. That was supposed to be Jamie, but the network said they wouldn't.
I was in the running for it, but I had to pull out because my boys said, no, you can't do that commercial because we're represented by a different commercial company. And I was on the show, My Boys. And so I had done 3 auditions to be Mr. Chaos for Allstate. And so at the very end, they go, hey, they want to negotiate money. But honestly, I still think Dean Winters was going to get it. I think that they were negotiating.
He's great. Nothing against Dean, but you deserve that.
I was in the mix. And what happened is I had to call my agent and go, I guess I can't do it. I pulled out. And I pulled out, and 2 weeks later, My Boys got canceled. I was like, oh, yeah. And I never thought it was going to be like a 10-year. That dude's he's probably made $15, $20 million.
Next to Flo from Geico, I don't know. There's another guy that's made more money.
I know. But
you know what?
Thanks for reminding me, Bill. Thanks for reminding me.
And that's the thing that drives me crazy about all these. Everybody, like I remember doing a show for Disney, and I got an audition to be. And as Jamie will tell you, when you're a comedian, the roles that you just live for are the ones where people don't see you in that role. Like I did a movie called The Neighbor, where I played a guy who murdered and kidnapped people.
It was awesome. You're Troy. You're evil.
Those are the roles we die for.
I know.
Because, I'm so tired. I'm so over well, I don't know why the lawnmower cut my fingers off. You know, it's like, and so when you get that role, so I was up for a role. Do you remember a show called American Gothic?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
I was up to be like one of the bad guys. And the network I was at a deal with at the time said, no, we can't have you doing that. But this is the evil dance you do. This is, you know, sometimes that carrot looks really good, but sometimes you got to turn away.
Well, it's funny, Bill, because we toured for so long together, and you're a comic, but you're also an actor. Like, you're an actor. Other people just don't want to do it; they want to be pure comics. But you're an actor, and we talked about this before about how you get pigeonholed into, as a comedy guy until you're like, even Robin Williams, I'm sure, had to convince people to go, look, man, I can do drama. And the funny thing is, most comics were tortured souls anyway. We're perfect for drama.
Right.
It's like I play the bad guy in Monk. Monk shoots me like a bunch of times, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, you were the bad guy in Monk," and I was like, "Yeah, I was."
Well, it's funny, Jamie. You bring that up, and Blue Collar was A, the best thing that ever happened to me, and B, the worst thing that ever happened to me, because it took me it's only until recently that I've been able to shed that overall wearing, chewing on a piece of grass, going, well, mama's going to come in from doing the corn, Right. And while it was as successful, and it was probably is the only reason I'm talking to you today, I'll tell you a great story that's I did a corporate show with George Lindsay, and we were sitting at the bar after the show, and because I love peeking people's brains. And I said, George, if you could redo your career, what would you do? He said, I'd have never taken the goober role. And I said, but that's what made you. And he said, Bill, I'm a Shakespearean trained actor.
Yeah.
He said, I walk into any audition and they go, hey, you Judy. Because Hollywood is so, I hope this is the right word, imagineless. They have, for a business that's supposed to be all about imagination, and it comes from, they've run out of it. They've run out of ideas.
Yeah.
And so, here's someone, and look at even Andy Griffith. I mean, he was No Room for Sergeants, which is an amazing film. And if you've never watched it, I urge your listeners to watch it. And what do they remember him for? Being Andy Griffith. It's like.
And eventually Matlock.
Yeah, he did Matlock.
We've been talking about this the other day about to be, like certain people like Matt Perry or somebody from Friends is always going to be Matt Perry. It's really hard to break out of that mold. There's a handful. It's like Ted Danson from Cheers.
Ed O'Neill did a good job of breaking out of that.
Ed O'Neill, but he was a Broadway actor.
Yeah.
He's the same. He's like a hardcore Broadway actor who they said, oh, you'll do 1 week on Married with Children and never get picked up. You'll cash a check and you'll go home. And he was on it
10 years later. You're like, geez.
Yeah. It's a handful, though. William Shatner did but it's pretty hard, Tony Danza, because people want to see you as they see you, and they go, oh.
Well, you're right.
Jenna Fisher just came out. She was supposed to be, she shot the pilot with Matt LeBlanc, Jenna Fisher from The Office.
Right.
And they fired her after they shot the pilot because they said no one could see Pam and Joey married, and that was it. And she was gone.
Well, another great example is the guy from Ozark.
Oh, Jason Bateman?
Jason Bateman.
Best.
I've watched that thing, and the whole time I watch it, I go, it's Jason Bateman. It's the same. I think Jamie and Jason, I think, and we'll get to the dad stuff. I know we're not here to discuss Hollywood, but.
No, we're here to discuss whatever you want, Bill. It's
whatever you want.
Listen, we all dance with the devil. I've had the most wonderful career, 41 years. And if you'd have told me this 40 years ago, I'd have said you were high, that I would still be doing this. And I'm getting ready to retire from the road. And it's been the most wonderful journey. But there are times, like I'm going to tell you a true story. I was pitching a show to A&E. And they loved the idea of the show. And it got canned because one of the executives, a woman executive, I won't say her name, a woman executive turned it down because she said he didn't remember me when I was at his house 5 years ago shooting a pilot for 30 seconds. I met this woman. And I thought, sometimes when you, and we know this going in, and I'm sure, Jamie, you've had these issues. It's
All
like
time.
there's just things you go, really? That's what you're basing a choice on a show.
Yeah.
But you know what my other belief is? That all this happens for a reason. I'd have been miserable. It was a reality kind of show, and it would have just, my kids were both just like, no, we wouldn't have done it.
Right.
So it all worked out fine. But that's what I love about this business. It is literally nowadays I really enjoy the chase. Like if someone says, we want you for this, I love to say, how about we got an offer only deal? It's like,
Yeah.
and if they don't, great, I'm fine. I live in Park City. I got a house in Scottsdale. I'm good.
Yeah, no, I think you're doing fine, brother.
You seem
I
to be
toured
doing
with you
all
on the
right.
road. I think you're doing just fine.
But I'm gonna tell you something. My favorite role ever, my favorite role ever, being a dad. God, I love
course.
this.
Oh,
That's
I'm
the
gonna tell you
pro.
something.
The segue brought it right back together.
I
again.
think,
well
Jamie,
played.
I will tell you this though, Jamie, I've discovered a role better than dad. It's granddad. Granddad is the best role you can ever have because you get all the perks and none of the responsibility.
Well, let's
That's
talk
gotta
about
be
it.
fun.
Oh,
Can I blow some smoke your way? Because when I first toured with you, all of a sudden I went from like doing the back room at a bar in Santa Monica in front of 4 drunks who were like, "Hey, we're watching the Laker game. Shut up," to all of a sudden walking on stage in front of up to like 10,000 people in an arena to do 20 minutes where I was like, holy shit,
Yeah.
what is happening here? And I was like, holy shit.
it's the
And I
best
will
drug
tell
in the
you,
world.
It's, it's such a drug. But first of all, your fans are amazing because you think, when people went to see Zeppelin, they would boo the opening act. Your fans they paid a lot of money to go out for a night. They're going to enjoy it. They were in their seats. Everybody thanked me. Huge laughs, so much fun. And then I would walk off. But at that time, I didn't have any kids. So I told all these like single guy stories and they still were like going along. But what I love the most is then I would sit and watch your act. And you talk about being a dad, but all your jokes are like, I'm total dad jokes, but you know what the difference is? They have such heart. All your jokes have such heart to them that they're hugely funny, like we all lived it, but they're also, everyone can identify with it because everyone in the audience is dealing with the same exact stuff about their family. And it's reminding them, yes, it's horrible and it's funny, but I also love every minute of it. And now I'm punished with that, with a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old in the other room.
Well, by the way, your daughters are just adorable. And by the way, I'm so happy they both have red hair. But
It's close. It was close.
Jamie, I got to tell you, and Jason, that when I'm offered the opportunity to talk to young comedians, I tell them all the time, I go, you don't got to be the funniest guy in the room. All the audience wants is for you to be relatable and, in my instance, clean. And that's what I love about Jamie's show, too, is that they just want to laugh. You've already won half the battle. All you got to do is just show, like I remember when I was a young comic, there was this group we called the Comics Comic. And they were the guys who would sit in the back of the room and whoever was on stage played to them. And they tried to be so hip and so edgy. And for those 6 people, that was great. But for the other 200 people, they're like, I'm sorry, I don't get this.
Right.
People just want to laugh. And I think, and I'm going to tie this into parenthood. You don't got to be the best parent in the world. You don't have to break any new ground. It's all right in front of you. Just do what your gut tells you. And, that's why I love these books that how to be the number one parent, how to be your child's best friend. you know what? It's all going to come down to you. And, I'll give you a great example. And this is kind of weird for me, but a few years ago, I had both my kids at the house, and they're grown now. And I just said, hey, Jan Karam just joined in.
I know, Jan Karam's here.
I love Jan Karam. Hi, Jan.
Hello, Jan.
By the way, Bill, is that your family having a party behind you?
Yes, they're having a party behind me, and they're drinking really good red wine.
Okay, because we can hear. Everyone's like, "Hey, we can hear everybody in Bill's house."
Yeah,
so just
they're all
tell
back
them
there
to
in
be
the
careful not to say anything bad because it's going out live.
They're all on payroll, so they'll be cool.
Okay.
But it's like with parenthood, you don't have to be the best parent in the world, but you got to be solid, and you got to be in line with your wife. That's because kids will find that kids are like water. They're going to find the easiest path in. And if they know they can go to daddy and go, hey, can I go skateboard with my friends? And if dad goes, yeah, sure. And mom had said no, they know how to work this. Kids aren't stupid. And so that was my wife and I's go-to line was like, if they'd ask me a question, my first answer was, what's your mom say? Well, she said no. I go, well, then guess what? We're saying no. And so it's like, it's not that difficult to be a good parent. I think that we've made it more difficult, with all the gender stereotypes and all this that, like dads have to be the guy that works. It's like, it don't work that way.
Yeah.
All your kid wants to know is that you guys are together and you're going to give them you're going to be there when they wake up.
Pretty crazy. I will tell you, here's one of my little stories from the road, Bill, is that your family's having a party, brother.
Hang on, I'm going to move to the bedroom.
So I went through all of my
by the
photos.
way, it's not the first time I've ever uttered that to Jamie.
I know, it was so weird, but I was like, yeah, that sounds comfortable. Let's do that. That sounds great.
All right.
Bill, I don't know if you remember this. We did a show in Columbus, Ohio together where I want to make sure he's here.
Okay, I'm here.
Hey, so we did a show in Columbus, Ohio, where a man named Jack Hanna came to the show, and he came in the green room after, and he was like,
one of my favorite days of my life
ever. He goes, "Hey, you guys want to tour the Columbus Zoo tomorrow?" And I was like, "It's not my show, but yeah." And you were like, "Of course." And I said, "I'm in too." And this was from that day. Wow. We did a crazy tour where I don't know if you remember it all, but
I remember do you remember going to the cheetah cage when the guy said there was nothing? Jason, I'm gonna tell you something. He took us into this fenced off lawn area, and right in the middle of it was this mound of grass. And Jamie and I walk in with Jack Hanna, and I go, "What's going on?" He goes, "Hang on a second." And this thing rose up above the mound of grass, this cheetah, full-grown cheetah, and is walking right towards us. And Jamie are like, "Okay, dude, I'm fixing to bail." Yeah. And he jumped up on a table, and we are literally, correct me if I'm wrong, we are literally within a foot of this thing. And Jack Hanna goes, "By the way, he could take your face off before you knew it." I went, "Oh, awesome.
Comforting."
Yeah. Do you remember the gorilla? Do you remember when the gorilla hit the door?
I touched it.
Yes, I got a picture of you petting this cheetah.
Yeah, it looks like I'm shitting my pants. I'm terrified. I have a photo of it somewhere.
All right. Do you remember when we went backstage at the ape compound?
I still tell that story all the time, Bill. It's one of the craziest things I've ever experienced in my life.
Wait, what happened?
In the gorilla cage.
We were backstage of the gorilla cage. Jason, it was a metal freaking door. And this gorilla came running, and he hit this door so hard, Jamie and I both shit our pants. I mean, it was like we thought the door was coming off the hinges.
And there was a line of paint maybe 6 feet away from the cage. We were behind where all the visitors were. We were behind the cage, the gorilla cage at the Columbus Zoo. There's a little line, and Jack Hanna's like, "Don't step over that line." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, the gorilla will reach through and he'll pull you right through the bar. He'll rip you in pieces and pull you right through the bar." And then he just walked away. I was like, "Dude, what What if I
Well,
walked
I mean,
in?
if you're gonna trust somebody, I would trust Jack Hanna.
And so the gorilla was all the way across the cage when we first got there. Bill and I were standing there,
We
and all of a
got
sudden
there pretty quick.
he looked at us across the cage, and we were like, whatever. And in one step, he covered like 25 feet. It was the most terrible. And boom, across the cage. And
It sounded like the door was exploding.
I crapped myself immediately. Like
You remember the manatees?
Yes, we fed them. We fed the
Manatees.
manatees.
This is what I love about this job. You know what? It's so easy to get wrapped up in what you haven't done in your career to go, oh, I should have had a movie, or I should have done. When I look back now, it's like, that's why retirement is so easy for me. I've done everything I wanted to do. I mean, I don't know what else is left other than Bill Engvall on ice, which nobody wants to see. But
no, I kind of want to see that.
Well, there'd be a lot of, let's just say there'd be a lot of packing.
I feel like I did a show with you. We did a show in Vegas. It was maybe the Stardust or something or other.
Yeah. We played the Stardust till we closed it down.
We closed it right before it blew
up. We
closed
down the Wayne Newton Theater.
And the dude tried to pay me before I even did the first show.
Yeah.
In cash, so that we would lose it. He goes, "Here's your cash." I go, "I don't want. I want a check." He goes, "What are you talking about,
Nope.
dude?" He was like this mobster was like, "You're taking the money, bud."
Yeah, it's just, I gotta tell you guys, it's shows like this that just make me realize, and I always said this. I always said I want to go out on my own terms. I never want to be the guy that people go, he kind of walked through that show. And everything in my heart and my gut says it's time, because there's no one in this business. If I retire tomorrow, they can go, oh, you almost made it. And I say that not being egotistical, but I'm just amazed at everybody else that I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories. When I first moved out to LA, and Gail was 8-9 months pregnant with our first child, and I went up to the Improv, and I was getting spots like at 1:30, 12:45, 12:15. And one day I saw Bud Friedman, and I walked up to him. I said, "Bud, I really appreciate all these spots you're giving me." I said, "But I got a new baby at home, and I can't come out at 12:30, 12:45. He goes, "Okay." Next thing I know, I'm getting 8:30, 8:45. And the rest of the comics were like, "How are you getting these spots?" I go, "I just ask." And I think sometimes that we as comics, we tend to overthink stuff. It's like everybody's just like we are. We just got a really cool job.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I didn't know if this job was going to work out. I didn't know you could make a living being a stand-up comic.
Well, actually, Bill, for everybody's sake, I mean, we all know you for so long, but talk about the early years. I mean, you're out of Texas. All of a sudden, you're like, you know what? I'm going to get on stage and tell some jokes. I mean, how did that
happen?
Because nowadays, everybody does it. It's a TikTok thing. But in those days, there was no social media.
No.
Even when I started, you had to be like, I had the balls to call the Comedy Store on like a Monday night in San Diego to try to get on. And my friends were like, dude, you're doing what? Nowadays, every single person I know has gone, oh, no, I'm doing a showcase next. Really?
Okay,
like, but man, it was crazy.
I'm gonna really show my age here. By the way, Dave Becky's the guy you were talking about down in San Diego. So when I moved, I'm gonna give you the backstory of how I got into stomp real quick. How I got into comedy. I was spinning records in a nightclub, and I won't tell you what kind of nightclub, but let's just say I played a lot of AC/DC and Van Halen. And
uttered the phrase, Ginger is going to take the stage.
Gentlemen, get out your wallets. Here comes Cheyenne. And so my buddy, who was a doorman, said, hey, look, they opened up this comedy club. Do you want to go watch Amateur Night? And I said, yeah, let's go have some beers and watch people suck. And so we get down there, and a couple rounds of liquid encouragement went through us, and they taught me into going on stage, and I just literally talked about being a stand-up, being a DJ. And the lady who owned the club came up and said, hey, I want to offer you a job as a house MC. And I said, to show you where I was in my life, I said, what's it pay? And it paid $25 more a week than I was making at the DJ job. And I got to work with guys like Shandling and Seinfeld,
Oh, wow.
Robert Wool, Eddie Murphy, these just the who's who of base, Leno. And so what I would do is I would pick them up at the airport on Monday, and I would drop them at the airport on Monday, and I would MC the show in between. So I basically had my own club to work out material, and I learned from the best. But the funny thing was, whoever I was working with that week, by the end of the week, I had taken on their mannerisms. Like if Seinfeld was there, I was like, hey, by then we're like, hey, what's up with the Dallas Tollway? It's like, but then I tell you, Jay Leno, who I just still to this day, I love him, and he's such an instrumental part of my career. I drove him back to the airport, and Jay had a stack of airline tickets, probably that thick. And I said, hey, Jay, I said, and I'd had a good weekend with him. I said, Jay, if you ever need an opening act, I'd love to go on the road with you. And he looked at me, he goes, Bill, he goes, you don't want to be my opening act. You got a good career ahead of you. You're a funny guy. Keep working at it. And I think back to that day. And if he'd have said, yeah, come be my opening act, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. And that's what I love about life is that while we think we're in control, we are not in any kind of control. And
were you just writing like a maniac? Did you go home after each week and go, oh my God? I mean, apparently Leno, I never saw him in those days. People said he was by far one of the greatest stand-ups you've ever seen live.
I will say this, that before Jay got the Tonight Show, and I get it. I get what happens is you got to do it every night for 5 nights a week, and that's difficult. We both know that. But before that, he was the hippest, funniest guy I think I'd ever met, and also told me how to deal with fans in the sense that you learn to walk and talk and sign at the same time. Don't ever stop.
That's funny.
I've
seen you do that. I've seen you do that.
You just walk. You don't ever stop.
Every night he's at Flappers or the Improv or the Laugh at. He's jumping on every night. He's up and doing he's a comic. That dude's a comic.
Jay knows. Jay is a comic. He is what we all kind of thought we'd end up like.
Yeah. We
hoped we would. But just one of the funniest guys. And also, you know what? Once you get to know Jay, he is like, I'm going to tell you, like I did an episode of Last Man Standing, and it was an episode that was me, Tim, and Jay in one scene.
Oh, wow.
And it was, dude, the taping was minor. In between tapings, it was literally who's got the best joke. And Leno has got a plethora of jokes. I mean, and not just stupid jokes. I mean, good, not his stand-up, but just jokes. And I remember at the end of the week, I walked by him and I said, I don't care how this looks on film. I go, that was the best week of my life. Oh. Because Tim would give up the role of being the star of the show because his peers are there.
Right.
And the fact that I can even say in the sentence that I'm peers with Leno and Tim is just amazing to me. And I don't know what I did right in this business, but I look back, and that's why I love shows like this. That, like I said earlier, sometimes you get so caught up in what you haven't done, you forget to look at, I've done pretty good.
Of course. But we always, it doesn't matter who is in Hollywood. People look above. It's better instead of just going. I mean, I have 2 little girls right now, so everything is kind of myopic in that way. Where I'm like, I go, oh, that's right, I did go do that. I forget things because I'm home cutting up cucumbers for 2 little girls.
Yeah, let me tell you, I will tell you this: that I would give up everything that I've accomplished in my career for those kids. I don't care what award show, Oscars, Emmys, Obies, whatever. There is nothing better than when you're tucking your little kids in bed and they look at you and they go, I love you, Daddy. That is, there's no award that can even come comparable to that. And it's funny
Talk
because
about real quick when you did, because dude, you also lived on the road for years.
Oh God,
you paid your dues, man. You were out there while Gail's sitting there with 2 little kids. I mean, you're like probably week out, pounding the road and stuff. I mean, those years must have been hard.
You know, Jamie, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if I've ever told you the story, but in the old days, when you were working the clubs, you were gone for 3 or 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
I miss my kids walking and talking for the first time. I'll never get that back. You drank on the road because you just wanted to pass out and sleep the day away because just the pain of being away from the house. And I don't know why Gail stayed with me. I have no idea, because she should have been gone 10 times over, but she's stuck in there. And it got brought home to me, and I'm sorry I get a little choked up on this. See, it got brought home to me that one day I had both the kids at the house, and I sat them down. They were adults now. And I said, kids, I want to tell you something. I said, I just want to apologize for all the times I was gone, for all the soccer games I missed, for all the award ceremonies at school. And this is where I love kids. Both my kids said, it was your job, Dad. How do you deal with that? That is the essential of being a parent. When, your kids look at you and go, hey, dude, we get it. We get it. Don't worry about it. And like tonight, I had my son and his girlfriend over, and it's just, you look now. And Jamie, I look forward I want to talk to you when your girls are older. When they get to
I'll
that
be long gone by then, dude. I don't know if I'm going to
He's barely hanging on.
But when you can have those conversations with them that are not just so maudlin, it's like, what do tell me what you're thinking when they tell you their political beliefs and all this, and even if you disagree with them, you just find yourself laying in bed afterwards going, this is what life is all about.
Yeah. Tell that to Jason, who has 3 little kids. He has two twins.
Bill, I'm in a dark place.
You're screwed, dude. Sorry.
No, I'm in a dark. I literally before I had kids, I didn't drink that much, but now, those big bags of wine that look like a Capri Sun? I'm considering having one of those made into an IV and just intravenous full time.
Listen, you're past that. You need just to buy an 8-ball. It's but you know what, Jason, I'm gonna tell you something, bud. It may seem overwhelming right now, but dude, your life is you have no idea how your life is fixing to open up. Jamie's getting a taste of it. I'm full blown now. I mean, when my son and I'm gonna tell you my favorite story ever. My son and I went camping one weekend at the lake up here by Park City, and he was 24, 25. And we're sitting in the truck and we're camping. We've been fishing all day. And I pulled out a joint and I said, you want to get high? And he goes, damn right. And it was just the greatest moment that I go, you know what? My dad never would have done that with me.
Never.
And we got high and we talked and chatted and went to sleep. And the next night, I'll tell you another funny story. That when my daughter got married, she got married in Steamboat Springs, which weirdly enough is where my wife and I honeymooned at the same hotel, but they didn't know it. So Colorado had legalized pot, and so Gail and I drove into to Steamboat Springs. The first place I stopped was a dispensary because I have back issues.
Sure.
And so I bought a couple joints. And that night after the rehearsal dinner, we're sitting around this big fire pit at the hotel. And I thought, what the hell? So I pulled out the joint, and it's me, my son, and my wife. Travis is in between us. And I lit this joint, and I took a hit, and he goes, okay, this is kind of weird. And I go, yep, hand this to your mom. And ever since then, we've had a very open relationship.
Dude, it's like in France, kids are drinking wine at the dinner table. we have made these things, these crazy levels. Like my father probably made me go out and drink with the kids at school because it wasn't allowed at home.
Right.
And then it becomes this big deal as opposed to just this little thing that's a, so yeah, good for you. I'd love to sit and get high with you, Bill. That'd be super.
I don't think at 43 my dad would let me drink with him now.
You know what's funny, Jamie, is we went to Spain, and we went to this beach, and all the girls there were topless. And all these Spanish boys were looking them right in the eye because you could tell the American kids because there was, like, oh my God, look at her boobies. It was like these Spanish kids, it was like, okay, yeah, whatever, dude. They look nice. But yeah, it's, I've had, when I think back, there's been some moments as a parent that I really, it's like, you make mistakes. But overall, at the end of the day, when you're done and you're lying in bed, if you can lay there and go, you know what, the kids are happy, they're healthy, you've done your job. Listen, and the other thing is, by the way, for as much as we don't want to think we're like our parents, we're exactly like our parents.
I just thought about it the other day. I'm exactly like my dad.
Jamie, my regret is I never got to meet your old man. I would have loved to have met him just from the bits you've done on stage. I just want to see the guy that goes, let's see, red hair, you got a sailor. I think I would have liked
to meet my kids either. It was always because I was the youngest of 6. He was in his mid 40s when I was born, and then I didn't have kids till I was like in my late 40s, so he wasn't around for him, and it's always been that kind of. I always joke that he's up there just laughing at me, going, "See what it's like."
They are, dude. I said the thing. My dad passed away a couple of years ago. And my only regret is that he didn't get to see his grandkid. It's like he would have loved Autumn. She's just sassy and just a wonderful kid to be around. And listen, I've slid right into the grandpa role.
I can tell.
You can tell, yeah, for sure.
I've seen the photos. I've seen all the videos.
Dude, I'm so wrapped. It's not even funny. Every time she goes, "Hey, Papa," I go, "Yeah, there's another $100K in your bank account."
That's so great, man. It's so great to see. Hey, listen, you talk about retirement, but I hate you don't have to use the word retirement. Just cherry pick a handful of gigs, but you're going to want to get out and do live shows because that's what keeps us alive. And we talked about it earlier. That's the drug, man. When I walked up on your stage in front of your 10,000 people, I was like, it was euphoric, man. So you just pick and choose your handful of gigs.
I think you might be right, Jamie. There'll be a handful, but I got to be honest with you. And I say this to another road warrior. Do you know what my biggest fear is? Dying on the road.
Oh,
I didn't even think about that.
Dying in some shitty hotel. And, then the rumors start that he was with a prostitute and they were doing blow. And, it was like, and I would tell you, Jamie, that there's I know you're younger and you and Jason both, but there's going to come a time when it's right. Yeah. And
you don't want to be Anna Nicole Smith.
I'm not saying I'll never, ever do stand up again, but it's not going to be my base. And I'm not even worried about the acting part of it. It's like, if that comes, great. But, I got a wife who's been with me for 38 years. And most of that we've been with me traveling on the road. And I got a grandbaby who I just adore.
Maybe Gail should go on the road.
Yeah, I mean, she must have the story.
You know what? Maybe it's Gail's turn to take some gigs on the road. I'm leaving for the weekend, dude.
I've already got the name of the show. It could be My Side of the Story. It's like, let her see what it's like.
She basically takes your old albums. She goes, all right, so this bit, total bullshit.
Yeah.
He was wrong. It wasn't me. He's
even
wrong.
More than that, Jamie, even more than that, I want her to experience that. Wow, that's the free breakfast? Okay, well.
I got to make my own waffle in this weird waffle iron that flips up over.
But you know what?
Sometime Gail should come on the show.
No, that's never going to happen.
We want to do an oldie wed game one
day. Never going to happen.
Hey,
Maybe
by
I'll
the way,
do that.
have you beaten her in golf yet?
Dude, this is what's sad. She's starting
She's
to
a killer.
Yeah, she plays every day, and she's really good.
She's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just kills me.
Legit. Yeah.
It's like I'm really happy for her, but I'm like, go beat somebody else.
Mm.
You know, don't beat your husband, because I'm going to tell you a true story. So we were playing our course here in Park City. Number 11 is a par 3 downhill. I hit a shot. I'm not kidding you, it was a foot from the hole. We're playing with Clint Black. And so we walk up to the forward tees where Gail hits from, and they give her the yardage. And Clint Black goes, the Clint Black, Grammy-winning artist, country star. He goes, okay, Gail Engvall's over the ball. And Gail goes, all I want to do is get inside of Bill. She hits this shot. I see it land. I go, oh, my God. Hole in one. In front of me.
Really?
In front of me, called by Clint Black.
Well, I mean, if you're going to have a hole in one, I would love Clint Black to call mine as well.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice though?
I mean, either him or Tim McGraw, one of those two would probably be.
There are worse
either one would be good. But
hey,
yeah,
listen,
she's
Bill,
great,
because
she's
you're
very
such an
competitive.
expert, because you're such an expert on all things parenting. By the way, can I tell you my favorite bit of yours because I've watched your act so many times, and each time I was still in wonder of like, God damn, that's good. That's such a good bit. And then I got over 50, and your colonic bit where you had you had to have your colonoscopy, and they all recognize you the day you're getting your colonoscopy.
That's the downside of this business. I will tell you this: that for colonoscopies, the worst day really is the prep day.
That's what you talk about.
But by the
one
way,
of my favorite bits of yours, man.
I'm
It's
looking
really
at my neighbor who is my colonoscopy guy.
Uh-huh.
Who, by the way, I highly recommend to anybody. The last time I had one, they gave me a shot of propofol. They wheeled me into a room that the Allman Brothers were on the soundtrack, and they had low blue lights. And I literally looked at them and said, "You can do whatever you want, man. I'm cool."
Get up in there, my brother.
I was sad
to the whipping post.
I was like, no, let it. We're not done yet. This was, it's funny when you look back. It's funny that sometimes like people will bring up ideas, bits I've done, and I find myself going, wait, what? Oh, yeah. And somebody the other night brought one up. One of my favorite bits right now that I'm doing is because I'm kind of the idiot. I don't mean to be, but it just kind of finds me. It's like Gail had gone to one of these lady parties where they serve, they sell like lingerie and stuff. I'm laying in bed. She comes home. She goes, I said, hey, how was the party? She goes, it was fine. And she goes, hey, I bought you something. And I said, really? And she threw on the bed this little pair of baby blue silk boxer shorts with a little pink rose on them. And I looked at her, I said, have you lost your mind? And she said, well, I'm sorry, I thought about you. And walked out of the room. And of course, being a comedian, Jamie, my first thought was, way to go. All I had to do was say, thank you, put them up in the closet, nobody ever sees them again. Well, now her feelings are hurt. So I put them on. And I kind of sashayed into the kitchen. I said, so what do you think? And she goes, good God. And I said, hey, you bought them. She goes, yeah, for me to wear for you, Bill.
How'd you look in them? Did they
let's just say the words hanging out didn't quite cover it.
Get some Franks and Beans down there with them.
Oh my God.
A whole set of Franks and Beans and going.
It was like the time.
Honestly, that reminds me so much of your act. It's just so great because it was all, and here's what I also loved, and I'm kind of similar in this way, is your everything was autobiographical. You weren't making stuff up.
Yeah.
You just told, which is the same as I do. People go, hey, how'd you think of that? I go, I didn't think of that. It happened to me. I didn't change a word of it. I'm telling you how horrible this thing went.
Let me tell you my favorite Bill Engvall moment. We were in church, and I had noticed over the past few weeks that the pastor was losing weight, and he looked great. So church is over. We're filing up through the center aisle, and we get to the pastor, and I said, Reverend, I said, I got to tell you, I said, I know you've been losing a lot of weight. I go, you look great. I said, what are you, dieting? You lifting weights? What are you doing? He goes, actually, Bill, he goes, first of all, he goes, thanks for noticing. He said, but actually, all I do is go to the gym and I swim laps for an hour. I said, that's it? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, keep doing it. It's great. I said, interesting story. I said, my grandpa used to do that. He said, really? And I said, yeah. I said, this back in the old days, the YMCA. I said, I'd go with him about 5 years old, and I watched grandpa swim laps for an hour. I said, but all he knew how to do was doggy style. So he just do doggy style up and down the pool for an hour. And I remember even as a kid thinking, wow, if I did doggy style for 10 minutes, I'd be worn out. And the pastor looked at me and said, oh, okay, and walked off. And I looked at Gail and I said, what's his problem? She goes, well, first, it's doggy paddle. It's like, I swear to God, it was literally one of those wah, wah.
And trust me, nobody can make 10 minutes of doggy style. I mean,
No,
4 tops.
You would cramp up.
Yeah, doggy style is like, all right, that's like the closing song in the Broadway musical. Like, hey, we're coming to an end.
We're going to hit it quick.
Let's do some doggy style and bring this beast home. Let's do this. This is
I have the upper arm strength of a T-Rex, so I can't even support my own weight to do it.
Dude, let me tell you something. How many times there's been moments that in the moment of passion, I'm like, oh my God, I'm cramping. I
got to put my foot on the floor. Like, there it is. Oh.
Or, no, the best is when you stretch your legs up and they go, are you cramping? You go, no, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Dude, I could talk all night. I
know. This is what sucks. The great ones go by too fast.
I know. Honestly, since you're just sitting comfortably in your house, I have no qualms about making you come back over and over again.
I would do this show anytime you guys want.
First of all, you're an ordained minister.
Yeah.
Just for
Jamie. All right. Do you want to hear the story real quick?
Of course. We're in no rush.
All right. So this is going to sound totally made up, and I apologize, but it is word for word the truth. So I got cast in Tim's show doing a character called Reverend Paul.
Right.
And I'd done a lot of characters, but for whatever reason, and Jamie, you know this feeling, every once in a while you stumble on that role that just feels natural. And so I was doing this role, and I finished taping for the week, and I came home, and I have a friend who's a retired Episcopalian priest. And I said, hey, do you got any books like on Theology 101 or Theology for Dummies or whatever? And he said, yeah. And I started reading these theological books, and I really found out I dug the history of the Bible. There's a lot of things that make sense, and there's a lot of things that don't make sense in the Bible. And that's what I love about it. And yet it's the most recorded book in the history of literature. And has also been the focal point of the most brutal wars in America, in the world. And so I was reading this book, and I really started digging it. And this is where it gets weird. One night, Gail and I were lying in bed. She's sound asleep, and I was kind of in that nether sleep. You know, where you're not asleep, you're not awake. And I was thinking about stuff I had to do the next day. And I swear to you, as clear as I'm talking to you right now, I heard a voice go, now you're doing what I want you to do. And I got up out of bed, and I walked around the house because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. Nobody there. I knew who it was. And the next day I enrolled in Grand Canyon University to get a Bachelor of Arts in Christian Studies. I'm an ordained minister, and I've married people. I've buried people. And my life has never been happier.
That's amazing. Man. I mean, that's amazing. It's such an amazing story.
And by the way, it's what amazes me the most is I didn't see it coming. I wasn't going after this. I wasn't pursuing this. It just came out of the blue. And I told then I had to go to Gail. And I had to tell her, because this was life-changing. And I remember the next morning I walked into the kitchen and I said, I got to talk to you about something. And she goes, of course, she's like, wait, what? And I go, God spoke to me last night. And to her credit, she goes, well, what did he say? And I said, well, he told me this theology thing is what I should be doing. And she goes, then I think you need to do that. And Gail's not overly religious at all. But it was, what it did for me is ever since that moment, I've not worried about stuff anymore. I can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. I can't change what happened yesterday. All I can do is be in the present and be there and be me. And it's been great. I do a thing on Facebook on Sunday mornings called Sunday Mornings with Bill. Mm-hmm. And it's literally a 10-minute inspirational talk.
Oh, I'm climbing into that. That sounds awesome.
And it's pretty great.
Thank you, bud. Thank you, Jason. And you know what it is? I tell people, I'm not trying to change what people think. I'm not saying this is what you got to do. It's like the one I did Sunday was like, just enjoy today. You know, every day we wake up, it's a gift, and we need to appreciate that gift and not be so worried about what we got to do tomorrow. Because if you're worried, it's like a little kid with their birthday. They can't even appreciate the present they're opening because they're so worried about getting to the next present.
Right.
I know, dude.
And that's what we do with life. And so, you know, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know where it's going to lead.
Oh, we're going to start sharing that immediately. Bill, I'm the same. I think you get to a certain point, and I think kids well this up in you, and it shows you what's truly important in life. And you have found this. You know, you were chasing for so long on the road, shows, your own show, movies, everything, that all of a sudden you settle in and you're like, what's it all about? And huge questions arise, and I'm jealous. I think it's fantastic.
And you're right, Jamie. You're chasing something that's not real. It's there, it's out, but you know, it's like it was funny because I told my friend from college, who's like one of my best friends in the world and knows more about me than Gail does. He said, oh, are you going to become one of those God people? And I said, for the first time in my life, I went, yeah. But I'm not one of those God people in the sense that I go to you and go, what you're thinking is wrong. You know,
not your piece.
Listen, my job is, and I'll tell you the greatest thing, it's opened my stand-up up. I know what my purpose in life is now. And it's to make people feel good, make people laugh, and send them on their way. That's all I'm here.
Let me ask you this, Bill. I mean, as a comic, you know, it's funny. I used to fight being an artist because when I grew up, being an actor wasn't a job. Like, I was a Navy lieutenant until I was 30.
Right.
And it's only recent, even when I was acting on the TV show My Boys, people go, what do you do for a living? And I go, oh, I do this. And I was ashamed almost to go, like, I'm an actor, I do this. We're artists. And I'm fully behind it now. And I think that art is so important in life. And what you do when you go out, those people are busting their ass, working their ass off. They've spent a lot of money to come out because of what you do, or any of these guys who go out and do these shows. You are bringing joy. And I think the pandemic really opened my eyes to how important art is. Once it was gone and we couldn't go to Broadway, we couldn't go see concerts, we couldn't see these things. All of a sudden I was like, I start to get what that gives us for the enjoyment of life. And it's important. And so I think the line between being an ordained minister and being a stand-up comic is so thin.
Oh, very much so. We give each other
humor. You know, I've seen great priests with humor where you're like, that guy's killing it, man. What a set. But he's in church doing his set.
You know, you're so right on that, Jamie. And what's interesting is I think as entertainers, we're scared to say what we really want because the business is so ready to jump. Like if I came out and said, oh, hey, listen, by the way, I believe in God and, you know, this and that and that's that. And also they go, oh, yeah, I don't care anymore. Yeah. My job is just to make people laugh and to have a great time. Yeah. And that's, you know, when I'm up there on stage, that's my sermon. And my sermon is my act. And at the end of the night, it's like, I just hope that people leave feeling better than when they got there.
They always did. And not all comics are like that. But I would say Jeff and Larry as well. I think that was honestly a big part of why Blue Collar resonated so much, because it wasn't just a bunch of jokes, man. It was a lifestyle and a mentality of like enjoying life and being
Well,
in the
I
moment.
think what Blue Collar provided was we provided a service that people could sit in the audience and go, they're just like I am.
Yes.
For sure.
Especially with Larry. It's like everybody has that uncle or, cousin that's Larry.
Yeah.
And that's what resonated. And the same with all, Ron, it's like, and me and Jeff. And that was the key to Blue Collar. It wasn't that we were the funniest people on the earth. We never claimed that. But what we were was the most.
We're all four very different comics.
Yeah.
That blended so perfectly together, where the whole
Very,
show
very well.
covered all the bases, man. When you went to see a show of the four of you, it was,
I will tell you this, that
the lineup.
And I'll wrap this up with this. One of these days, I'm going to be sitting on the front porch of my house, and I'll be able to tell my grandkids that I was part of one of the biggest comedy tours that ever happened, and probably won't happen
All
again.
time. Yeah.
And that's, I
can't think of another one, man.
No, and that's the gem of success. I've been blessed. I've got great friends like you. We've been friends for a long time, and
I toured with all of you. I opened for all four of you. And it was eye-opening to me as a performer and a comic, because I wasn't a huge road guy. I was an actor before I was a comic. And when I went out and I toured with all four of you, I got it. I was like,
it's a different beast. And, I will say this, Jamie, that it was meant to be.
Yeah.
It was, you wouldn't, I think without doing the road, you wouldn't be where you are now. You're a great actor, but I think that stand-up really fulfilled you and filled you out. I saw that in your act when I would watch. I said,
I just recorded my second album like 2 weeks ago. It's coming out.
By the way, I was watching that. I was watching
and honestly, a big part of it is because of touring with you guys, where I saw what you guys were doing, and I was like, oh, I guess you can do that. So it really opened my eyes. But yeah.
Well, you can't, and it's over. So just enjoy it watching yourself.
Done. Hey, by the way, that character is the spinoff from Last Man Standing. I
would love that.
Touched by an Angel too.
I would love that.
But all right, so listen, we're gonna wrap up here.
On another text, I got a great idea for a show. I think I'm going to pitch you.
All right, we're gonna do it. Hey, we are gonna wrap up tonight by, obviously, you are a trained dad and now granddad, so you know the answer to every question that kids ask, I would say, right? So we got some questions from our kids. I've been writing questions that my kids have been asking me over the years.
Oh, I love it.
Yep.
We got some questions for you. You ready?
Got it.
Okay. Here's my first question. Why did swear words get invented if we're not allowed to use them?
You need to talk to your mother.
Is that going to be the answer to every question? I guess. I'm already using that one, and then they go to their mother, and then they come back to me, and they go, "No, seriously, Dad. She said you'd know."
Actually, if you really want to stop it, go ask your effing mother.
Ask her. That would be the right answer. Jason, you got one?
Yes, I do. How do bumblebees stay in the air having such fat bodies?
Well, honey, first off, we don't use the word fat. They're big bone bees. And some bees fly faster than big bone bees, and then they die.
I love that you stayed politically correct, though, in this era of
you were very polite.
Big boned.
All right, here's one. Here's one from my daughter. Why is the moon called the moon?
It was the only word that we could spell at that time. It's got two vowels and two consonants. That's as easy as it gets.
Here's my question: because she asked me that, and I was like, well, because it's a moon. Like Jupiter has
That's a great
moons.
question.
Well, a moon, I think a moon is a body that orbits around a planet. Like Jupiter, other planets have moons.
Everybody's ass cheeks coming out of his pants.
Exactly right. So, but why doesn't it have I was like, when my daughter asked me, I was like, well, why doesn't the moon have a name? Because like we're a planet, but we're called Earth. But it's our moon, but it's just the moon. There's no.
Well, okay. Then you say, who came up with the word Uranus? It's Uranus. All right, come on. Let's all be real here.
All right, Jason, you're up. What's next?
Okay. What makes the colors in a rainbow?
Skittles.
You know what? You are such in the grandfather mode because you're not even trying. You're like, that's how a grandfather does.
Rainbows did not exist
Skittles.
before
Go
Skittles.
ask your dad. I already paid my dues. My 2
Skittles
kids
were made by the rainbow was made by the Mars Candy Company.
That honestly,
That's
I thought
fair.
it was made by Benetton, but I guess not. That's a different.
No, they're just weird.
All right, here's one for you. If vegetables are good for us, shouldn't they taste better? And if candy's bad for us, why does it taste so good?
Oh God, there's so many ways I could go with this one. Well, honey, just shut up and eat.
You're not leaving that table till that broccoli's eaten.
Eat your.
Enough?
You
How
can't
many
get.
times have the
You
show
can't have
been
ice cream till the broccoli's gone.
I said, eat everything on the plate. And then she keeps coming over going, is this enough? Is there still things on the plate? Yes. Then no, it's not enough.
All right, I'm going to tell
daily
you
here.
a quick story. When I was a kid, my mother made boiled okra, which is just like a loogie in your mouth.
Oh, it
And
is.
So I put it between 2 pieces of bread, and I ate them, and I go, well, I'm good. And my dad goes, well, no, you didn't eat your bread. And he saw me put the okra in the bread. And I go, well, I'm all full. He goes, well, we can't put that bread back in the bag. You already touched it. You got to eat that. I literally took one bite and hurled across the table. And my dad said, well, at least you ate your okra.
There you go. That's so.
He didn't care that I ate all of it. I just took a bite of it. But
my kids eat so much candy. And
my favorite story from my kids was one day my daughter we were driving. She was in the back seat. And she said, why is the moon following us? And I said, because the 405 is under construction. And by the way, California is the only state that calls their freeways by the word "the."
Somebody else just lit me up. Who was I talking to?
Yeah.
I said something about, I was talking to my buddy in New Hampshire. I'm going to New Hampshire to do a gig in my hometown in September. And I said, hey, the 93 or something. He goes, dude, it's just 93. We don't call it the 93. He lit me up. And I was like, what? I had no idea. But it's the 405, the 101, the 10. Yeah, that's funny. That's super funny. All right. I mean, that should have been the last one. Jason, you got one more? A good one for him?
I do. Yeah. My favorite one is, do fish laugh?
Yes. But they have to do it between breaths. Otherwise, they'll choke to death. Fish don't really laugh. They more snicker.
There's the comic. But then you have to do the impression of him going, ha ha.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you never see the goldfish in the bowl laugh out loud, because he'll choke to death. But what he does do is give you
he gives you a one-eyed wink of
gives you the wink and if he's really a cool fish, he does the Barney Fife and wow, we really ended this on a weak note, didn't we?
You what?
I said
here's the last question for you, Bill.
That's typical for this show.
Here's the last one. Here's the last question. And honestly, this is a good question. I didn't know the answer to it. Why is poop brown?
Sometimes it's not.
My daughter asked me, and she was like, all the food we eat, we don't really eat a lot of brown food. Why is our poop brown?
Wow. I'm going to suggest counseling for her.
Or nutritionist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird.
It's a good point. It's a very good point.
It's solid. Don't you do that, Bill, when your kid asks you a question, you go, shut up, and you go, oh, actually, that's a really good question. It's a valid question.
Or you could just look at him and go, you poop? and then just leave it at that. Like, that's weird,
dude.
That's weird.
Oh, they poop.
So when they say why is it round, then you look at them like, you poop. Wait, that's weird.
My apricot tree in the backyard has been fertilized by so many accidents that I've had to take. My wife's like, here, take these. I'm like walking into the backyard, spraying a hose into poopy pants to get it out.
Well, I think, you can't eat green apricots. That's nature's diuretic, or, they. Yeah.
I don't know.
I love the fact that they're still spraying out pants, though. You guys might want to move into the 2000s. They have disposable stuff now.
I mean, they're kids. They have disposable underwear.
Yeah.
You're thinking about edible
I'm
underwear.
wearing them
Those
right now.
different,
I'm
though.
64, dude. I'm wearing them now.
And they and once
I believe
those
Old
get
Navy
wet,
is
it's not
considered
pretty.
disposable clothes, right?
It's all
Hey,
about
really quick. Can we talk for one brief second, and this will be the end of the night, and we'll let you go. You had a show called, God, what was the name of it again? I believe it was called The Bill Engvall Show. Which is, by the way, once that happens, I believe there's nothing left above it.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, Jamie, I have two memories of that. One, we gave Jennifer Lawrence her first job.
That's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about that.
Thank you.
And two, I'll never forget the day that I walked down the alley and I looked up and there's a giant sliding metal door that says The Bill Engvall Show. And I thought, this is as good as it gets.
Does it get better?
The only day it got better was when we were nominated for a Grammy, which basically nominated for a Grammy is just a polite way of saying you didn't win. But we went to the Grammys and it was just not my cup of tea. And so Gail and I left and we drove back to Manhattan Beach and we were sitting in a little seafood restaurant and Michael Wright from TBS called me and said, we're picking up your show. That was the best moment of my life.
I love him. He ran My Boys too. Michael Wright's the bomb.
Great guy. Love him to death. But there is no better feeling in the world than when your name's on the show. It's something I'll never forget. And I thank TBS for 3 seasons of just living the dream. This is what every comic, every actor strives to get. And I somehow was able to wrangle it in. That's just bizarre.
It's amazing, dude. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, hey, by the way, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Honestly, I'm so honored that you came on our show for your birthday.
Jamie, I've been wanting to do this show for a long time.
I know, dude. Please, hey, will you come back, please? Because we
in a
could run
heartbeat.
for hours. There's so much to talk about.
In a heartbeat.
And when we have other people in, let you come in and play with us and stuff.
I would love to. And thanks to all your listeners and viewers. I love what I do. And Jamie, I love you to death. I love for a long time. I love your family. And Jason, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet a new face and a new friend.
Yeah,
it's really fun. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Yeah, an honor.
All right, I'm going to go get a glass of really good red wine, and I will.
You earned it.
Talk to you guys.
Let's let Bill go. Everybody, Bill Engvall joining us tonight.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Dude, that was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
what a fun show.
I know, what a fun show and stuff. So super cool. All right, hey, listen, we got some announcements, I guess we need to share with everyone.
Yes. First and foremost, you can find us here every week, Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, live on Facebook at facebook.com/The Pirates Lounge. You can also find us at twitch.tv/The TPL Show and youtube.com/Jamie Kaler.
Yes. And we got some gigs coming up in September. We're going to be in Pennsylvania. Dude, super fun. If you guys
want to give away some tickets?
Say again?
Want to give away some tickets?
I think we should.
Let's give away 2 pairs of tickets.
I mean, it's got to be the local. It's only for Pennsylvania people, even though the show is going out globally.
It's on the way to everywhere. So if you get them, we're not paying for your lodging. You have to just get there on your own.
You have to get there on your own. Merch is coming soon. There's Michelle Pulver. Maybe Michelle will win.
She's in the drawing.
Yeah. Honestly, it's so funny now. People are texting me. This is what's really fun about having a live show that goes out like this over all the pages. Super fun, man. I toured with him for so long, and he is the nicest cat ever.
He seems that he's a solid guy. I had such a good time with him the first time I interviewed him, and even more now when things were a little more comfortable.
Crazy. We would do a show in Seattle. I would drive over to a private airport, get on a plane, little private plane. We'd fly to Seattle, do the show, go back to the airport, get back on the plane. I'd be home by like midnight.
That's so crazy.
It was nuts, man. It was nuts. I mean, I don't know if everyone remembers, they were effing rock stars. Like
they were for sure.
And Larry's gonna come do the show, Jeff.
I know. So it's weird for me because like people are like, so you're getting to talk to these guys like every week now. I was like, yeah, it's like one of the pluses of knowing Jamie Kaler.
Yeah, I'm the conduit. I'm the as Malcolm Gladwell says, I'm the connector. I'm the connector.
All right, we ready to do our first drawing?
Do it.
Katie Bem has won the first set of tickets.
All right,
and now we're going to do the second one. Aaron Barrett has won the second set of tickets.
I love it. All right, cool. All right,
I will let those people know.
Hey, thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight and every week. We have a great show for you next week.
Yes, we do. Natalie Diaz, who is the founder of Twinversity, which is an amazing resource for parents. She does a podcast. She wrote a book, which is What to Do When You're Having Two. And honestly, it was the only way I survived the first 5 months of having twins was her book.
So what we're going to also try to do is we're going to have some people we'll talk to. I have a friend who has triplets, and we have some other friends who are twins, and we'll try to include everybody else. But the whole show next week is going to be a little mom heavy, and we're going to talk about twins. So it'll be super fun.
Yes. And I do have a little expertise in that area.
You do. So
also, if you want tickets to our big show, the Parents Lounge Live, you can go to the event here on Facebook. Go to our Facebook page for the Parents Lounge. You can get the link there to go get the tickets. I'll also post it there, and you can get yourself hooked up. It's going to be an amazing show.
It'll be super fun. And it's funny, too, because my album comes out the week before. I'm going to start sharing some clips soon, too. So we've talked about it. I wrote a whole album during the pandemic, and I recorded it, and it's coming out on Comedy Dynamics in September. And then the next week, we're starting to do Parents Lounge shows. So hopefully,
and I don't think people still we've still not met in real life. Like when you come here, honestly, that's the beginning.
I don't think we ever should. I feel like we should always just keep some space.
Do you want to put a divider up on the stage and we'll just stay on opposite sides of it? We'll never actually
just to keep the aura alive.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I got to go put 2 kids to bed. That was a good one.
I've got to go finish my alcohol.
Yeah, me too. All right. Hey,
cheers, my buddy.
Cheers, brother. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Please leave comments, come follow, come like, share some Parents Lounge stuff. And we're going to post this as clips with Bill, and feel free to share that as well. It was a super fun night.
Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
On the Parents Lounge.